Okay, this is an example of how to add the CRM ID number into a field in the profile, which is helpful for linking to Creator. So first thing, go into the module and create a text, a single line text field called CRM ID. After you do this, save, go back out. Okay, so we are going to mimic this off of other ones that we've already done. So we're going to go into the settings here. We're going to look at workflow rules, and we're going to create a rule. This rule is going to be for the partner orgs module, and it's going to be called update CRM ID. And so since we're first doing it, and we already have records in there that we need the ID updated for, we're going to do it to change it to edit. So whenever it's edited, this will happen. After we've done this, we'll go ahead and change it to create, so we're not unnecessarily firing it when the ID is already in there. So edit. Next, we're going to do all partner orgs need this to happen. And then we're going to create a function. So we're going to write our own function here. I'm just going to call this partner org. Oops. I try to avoid spaces, or update CRM ID. I'm going to just use the same function name as the display name, and then create. Okay, so before you do anything, this is where I've messed up before. Click Edit Arguments. The key here, I'm going to look at another one to confirm really quickly. How did I? So this is an example of the student one. I just want to see. So it's student ID. Okay, so it's going to be whatever that thing is, ID. So in this case, let's go back here. Where'd it go? Okay, so we're going to call this partner org ID, and we are going to push the pound key to add partner orgs, and the field we're trying to pull from is partner org ID. And we're going to click done and save. Then I'm going to go back to my function here I already have created for students that I know works, and paste it and just change the language to match the right module. So in this case, I'm updating partner org ID string, and it's going to be here called partner org ID. Again, I'm just copying the name of that module. Be careful with plural and stuff. I've messed up before trying to remember which ones have S. So I'm going to put this here, has to be the API name of that field we just created in products. So to confirm I have the right API name, I'm going to go here, look at APIs, API names, and then where is my partner orgs? Okay, if I go down like partner orgs, it is partner org CRM ID right here. So this, I'm just going to copy this exactly because I want to make sure it's exactly the same. And I'm going to put it here into this. So this is the name for the API name for the field. And this here just needs to match this here. So we already defined what this thing was. And we're going to copy and paste it here. Okay, so then we're going to update partner org, update records. Again, we need the API name for this module. I just want to confirm that I know what it is. Where did it? I didn't. Okay, so the API name for this module, go back. Partner orgs is called, oh, vendors. That's good to know. I feel like, yeah, so the API name for this one is vendors. So let's go back to our function, and we're going to change this called vendor, and we're going to call this here student ID just needs to match whatever you have here, partner org ID, I believe, and then update. I just want to make sure I'm copying this with update student. Okay, I want to make sure this here needs to match whatever this is here. So let's go ahead and try that. Okay, let's save and execute. Oh, no, it didn't work. Something didn't work. Partner. Okay, let's go see how this is different. So partner org ID string. Let's just go ahead and copy this one really quickly so I can see it. This is the one from students. I just want to see it directly so I'm not messing anything up. Update student ID string. I wonder if it needs to be vendor because that's the name of that module. I think so. So let's use vendor instead of partner org. So we're going to use vendor ID, put here. I renamed that custom module, but that was probably a bad idea. Update partner org. So we want to put this update vendor, update here. We're going to change this again to vendor ID, update, and then we're going to copy this and make it match this. Let's make sure really quick. So actually just go ahead and cut this. See if it works. What have I done wrong? Okay, so student is one that we have. Let's go ahead and look at another one, products, which I just did, so I know is working, and see where we have something different. So I think it's this S. So vendors, products, and then vendor and product. Update, put products ID string, vendors ID string. Update vendors, products. Again, this is vendors ID string, update. Okay, let's try that. Ugh, vendor ID is not defined in line number 2. I think it's because of, oh, I think it's this. Vendor ID. So this, okay, got it. This here needs to match this here. And I think that's where I just messed up. Okay, now at least we moved on from that one. So let's keep going. Vendor ID. Oops, I think it's because it needs to be vendor ID. It needs to match, so this needs to match this. Say save and execute. Okay, it looks like it might work. So let's go ahead and try one. We're just going to go ahead and grab, this is for partner org, so let's go ahead and find a partner org. This is an example. This is the number we're trying to create, and we want it to show up. Let me refresh this really quickly so you can see this page. We want it to show up in this CRM ID, okay? So we'll go here, we're going to run the function, save it, and see if it was successful. So function executed successfully. The ID given seems to be invalid. Seems like it says that that vendor ID is not a valid ID. Did I copy something wrong? Let's try again. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. It's this one here. This is the vendor ID. Not this last one. Right here is the vendor ID. So let's go ahead and try this again. So save and execute. We'll put this here, save. Okay, it looks like it was executed successfully. So we look here. Now I don't see any errors. So if I go back here to my partner orgs and I refresh, okay, great, it's there. So I'm going to save this. And now since I have that function set to edit, I want to go ahead and just edit all of them to force it to update. The way that I sort of force that update is I have a field which I'll need to create right here. Let's go and edit and create a new field called push record or push update. This will allow us to just manually push an update without messing up any of the other records. So we'll use a date field because it just seems to have been the easiest one to mess around with. Okay, so push update, save this. Okay, we're going to go out and let's go ahead and look at our partner orgs. Okay, we're going to see if this worked, but in order to see if this worked, let's add a column here, and we're going to add the name of our CRM ID. Okay, so here we have it. That one worked because we forced that one. So let's go ahead and check all. Let's do a mass update. We're going to use our push update field. Just choose a date we know it hasn't been, and click update. Moment of truth. So take a second. Let's go ahead and refresh and see if any of these are starting to fill in. And if they're not, we'll do some troubleshooting. Okay, so they're not. Let's go ahead and see why they're not. If I go to settings here, I'm going to look at my functions. I'm going to look at my failures, and I don't see any failures right now. I wonder if I just didn't get it to put in the right spot. Okay, so it doesn't look like it failed, but it's not showing up unless it just needs a minute. The CRM is not showing up. So let's go back and look at our function and compare it more closely with just about each of the things. So we have, let's compare it to one again that we know is working. Update products. Products one worked. I'm going to I want to compare this one. So let's just look really quick. Let's edit our arguments. We see product ID singular, and this is how it's working. I wonder if it's create or edit. I'm going to change this. So I want to go back. This is now just how I troubleshoot a few things that we could do. I don't remember what exactly solved this last time. So I want to go back and look at our workflow for products. Actually, I want to look at for one that's working. Yeah, we just did one that's working. Products. And I just changed this to create. Let's see if students is working. Allow students is working. So let's go ahead and just use partner orgs. Wait, where's my workflow? Oh, okay. So I wrote the function, but I guess I just didn't actually save the workflow yet. So double check here. It looked like it worked, so we're going to click save. Oh, that was done. So that troubleshooting was unnecessary. This worked. So I'm going to go ahead and click save. So it's whenever it's edited. And now let's try that again. Let's try to update our partner orgs and see if we can get the CRM ID to show up. So actions, mass update, push update, choose a date. Okay, let's see. Okay. Oh, yay. Okay, it's working. So some of them just take a second longer than the other ones to fill in. So now that we know that it's working, we'll take a second. I'm going to refresh, make sure that the CRM ID comes through in all of them. And then the only last thing is to go back to our workflow and change it to run this workflow instead of when it's edited, when it's created. Because again, we don't want to fire it unnecessarily. Just make sure everything's good. Okay, so we'll go back here to our workflow rules. We'll look at the one that's attached to our partner orgs. And I'm just going to change the rule here, and I'm going to change instead of edit it, I want it on record creation. Change trigger, and then save. Okay, so now all of our partner orgs have CRM IDs, which allow us to work easier with creating.